sweet pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQP, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it on a Thursday, ready to go with some UFC Shanghai going on this weekend. And of course, we got a recap of Dana White's Contender Series, which was pretty damn good on Tuesday, to be honest with you. If you didn't get to catch it, yeah, we'll be talking about that. What's up, Infinity? Welcome in, man. Good to see you here. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate the compliment. What's up, John? How you doing? Welcome in. Yeah, so we had Dana White's Contender Series on Tuesday, and you know, big things trying to happen there with Bellemere being the main event. And yeah, if you watched, you know how that went. So we'll have to talk about that. But also we have UFC Shanghai going on this weekend, and oh, I thought that was playing out loud. And we had we have UFC Shanghai going on this weekend, and it's an early card. I was gonna try to do a watch party, but who would you pick between Turner and Aziz? Ooh. Oh man, that's a tough one, because Turner's one of those guys that just does things sometimes, and then sometimes you're like, oh, he's definitely gonna win, and then he doesn't. Aziz, fuck man, that's a tough one. I would probably just make up my mind at the last moment. I don't know. I doubted Turner last time and he got it done. Did I doubt him last time? Holy crap, I can't remember. Fiziv's one of those guys too, though. They're both kind of one of those guys that just, they lose at times and you're like, why? Why are you losing now? I don't know. You got me stumped on that one. I would have to really dig deep and think about that one. But yeah, UFC Shanghai happening this weekend, and it starts at 3 a.m. for me here in Arizona. So I was going to go live and try to do that, but I have some stuff I got to do during the day. And, you know, I got to be productive every once in a while as far as doing other shit for the house and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not gonna go live for that one, but the prelims start at 12 at midnight for me. So you could check on, you know, the times yourself. Go to UFC.com, it'll tell you there, or just Google UFC event. It'll give you times there as well. So yeah, not gonna cover them this weekend, but next weekend, if nothing else is happening, it's UFC Paris. That's a pretty decent card. I am excited this weekend for Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong. I feel like that's going to be a pretty damn good fight, even though I feel like Nurmagomedov's probably going to get that win. Song Yadong has good power in his hands, and you never know what can happen. But I think Umar's kind of proven that he's pretty good at beating everybody except for the highest of the highest levels. So I feel like it should be a good fight, though, regardless, because Song Yadong is not one of those guys that just gets, you know, he's definitely going to make it a fight. And I think that it's going to be interesting. So as far as anything else going on, I just saw earlier that Mike Perry has a new opponent now for the Misfits match that was happening this weekend, because Dylan Dennis, shouldn't be surprised, but Dylan Dennis pulled out. Apparently he has some nasty injury, a gash of some sort, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of funny that he talked all this shit to Mike Perry, like he does to everybody. But, you know, even Ariel was like, hey, you know, asking Mike Perry, do you think that there's a possibility that he pulls out of this fight, because he's done it in the past? And Mike Perry was like, you know, shit can happen, but, you know, I don't think he's going to. And if he does, then, you know, he's a pussy or whatever. And hold on.
You pussy, boy, you pussy.
But yeah, and basically he proved that one to be right, because he pulled out. And I get it, you know, there's apparently a picture. For some reason I couldn't open it, I couldn't see it. I didn't really give a shit, because whatever's happening to Dylan Dennis, you know, as long as it's not like life threatening, that's on him. Maybe he should be a little more careful with his training. It's just coincidental. He pulls out too much as it is, from fights, and they're not even like the biggest fights you could possibly think of. So it's kind of annoying because I wanted to see Mike Perry beat the shit out of him. He was talking all this shit about how there's no way in hell that Perry was going to be able to even touch him, much less, do any of the damage that Mike Perry thinks he can do. And, he didn't have to do anything because Dylan Dennis just pulled out because his vagina hurts. So I just think it's funny because Dylan Dennis talks the most shit out of anybody. And yes, he's a high level jiu-jitsu guy. Yes, he's done this, he's done that, but it's just like, come on, man. You get your ass beat every time you step foot out anywhere where any Dagestani is. And I get it. They also do dirty shit like hit you in the back of the head. I understand. But regardless, you're getting hoed everywhere you go when those guys are around. And yet, you're too dumb to stay away from it. And yeah, he thinks he's a tough guy because he gets beat the shit out of and walks away. And I don't know. I don't get it. He's fucking weird. And I try to let it all go. I try to let all the stupid shit go and try to really just put it all aside and try to like deal with him as a fighter only, and that's it. But it's too difficult. And then he does stuff like this. So it's like, how do you ever expect to get into the UFC like you think you would be the best at, just to pull out of fights all the time? I mean, that if you already didn't get banned from being at UFC events, that would be a massive reason as to why they wouldn't bring you in, because you're constantly finding ways to drop out of fights. So yeah, I think it's a little weird, and it is what it is. So Mike Perry's fighting somebody else. I don't even know who it was, but I guess that's happening this weekend. It kind of fell under the radar for me. I hadn't really paid attention to that one. So, that's going on. It's Misfits. That's Misfits, right? I think. I think it is. Or is it? No, that's not even Misfits. That's right. It was some. Oh yeah, Dual Arena, whatever the fuck that is. Okay, so it's some random one-off type shit. Jimmy Manawa versus Chase Sherman is on that card. What the hell? Alex Nicholson versus Brad Taylor. Okay. Yeah, that's some weird. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's probably why you haven't heard much about it. And yeah, now that the main event that everybody was kind of looking forward to is now not happening. So that's how that goes. It's a Dylan Dennis fight. You can't be too surprised. But anyway, before I get too far, I do want to give a shout out to Noctane for the sponsorship. I am still out of my these don't work. I'll try them anyway, but I don't. It'd be nice if it worked actually, but I'll give it a shot and see, because I haven't actually opened this bottle in like 2 weeks because it's just been dead. So we'll see. Hold on. No, that one's, yeah, it's purely dead. But anyway, yeah, I still appreciate the sponsorship. I'm waiting on, on the new bottles to come. And it is what it is. When I get them, I'll be happy. Other than that, for now, I just want to make sure that everybody remembers Noctane is my sponsor. I appreciate them for the sponsorship. Add a drop of water. Oh, I did that twice already, bro. That's why it's dead. I tried that. The second time I did it, didn't do anything. I have two that I got at the exact same time, and yeah, they're just gone. They're gone. So anyway, yeah, appreciate the sponsorship, Noctane. You can go check out their website, scan that QR code, or link in the description below as always, and you can go check out their website and read up on it and buy yourself a bottle. They have 3 different potencies, a bunch of different scents you can add to it, and there's all kinds of good reasons to use it, and beneficial reasons, So go check it out, and thank you, Noctane, for the sponsorship. So yeah, that's it. Let's get into what we're here to talk about, because there's a good amount of things to talk about with this Dana White's Contender Series that happened on Tuesday. So we got Dana White's Contender Series week 3 of the 10th season, which is crazy that it's been around for 10 seasons already. I remember when it first started with Uriah Faber and Snoop Dogg doing the commentary, the secondary commentary, which is kind of crazy. And then Snoop Dogg got a little out of hand. Not because he was out back there smoking weed or anything like that. He just said a lot of crazy shit that was pissing off the fighters, I guess. He was playing favorites. He was talking shit, and you know, it's all in good fun. But you know, I don't think the UFC liked that too much. Too many problems I can span from that. So yeah, they got rid of that one. But we've gotten to this point where we are at the 10th season, and we've got a daughter of a former UFC champion fought on this card, and that is Bella Mir. And unfortunately, it didn't really go her way. I'm sure if you saw it on Tuesday, you know, and if you didn't, well, spoiler. But I'll get into it when we get to that one, because I'll start at the bottom and go to the top. And this, you know, the past couple weeks have been great for Dana White's Contender Series. There's just been great fights. You know, even when we get a decision or two on the card, they're good fights. So that's kind of what the UFC is looking for, and that's why they will sign even a guy who was involved in a fight that he lost, but was a great fight all the way around. As long as it's not a finish, you know, I mean, most of the time it's a decision fight where they pick both fighters to get a contract. So that's what happened last week. This week we only got the winners of every fight that got signed to a contract. So at least there wasn't any left out, which means every fight was worth it. And that's what Dana White thought. And we got 5 new contracts handed out. And that's, you know, that's good and bad. You know what I mean? Because there's so many fighters on the roster already. And I know that they will let fighters go. They will, you know, fighters will just leave on their own or retire. But you know, when you have this constant stream, I guess that's why it's good that the Contender Series only happens, you know, within a chunk of like the last kind of half of the year. So, you know, because otherwise we would have just fighter overload, which that is kind of what they use this for, to fill up the roster, not have to pay them a ton, and try to find new stars. And, you know, obviously we've gotten big names coming out of the Contender Series, starting with Sugar Sean O'Malley. We got people that have become champions: Jack Della Maddalena, Carlos Ulberg, Jamal Hill. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have come out of the Contender Series that have done well for themselves. So, and you know, I heard some criticism about how, oh, you know, on these shitty cards, you just see nothing but Dana White Contender Series guys coming up, or girls, and all this shit. But it's like, well, yeah, that's what the show's for. You know what I mean? You kind of used to see the same thing with the Ultimate Fighter. And I don't know why that's such a bad thing, except for the fact that if they're leaving guys on the table, or fighters on the table, that could possibly come in from other organizations that are well worth it, and they're not signing them because they don't want to pay them, maybe that would suck. And I'm sure there is some of that goes on, but I think the Contender Series is exciting. It's fun, and it doesn't happen all year. If it happened all year, I think that would be OD. Like, that would be too much. So I'm glad that it only happens for a certain amount of time, a few months throughout the year, and that's it. And yeah, it's been producing some great fights. This is week 3, and I think every week has been pretty damn good. I think there's only been one fight out of all 3 weeks that nobody got signed from. So that's, you know, that just tells you something right there. And this one had big time stakes in it when it comes to Bella Mir in the main event, considering she, you know, a lot of pressure on her shoulders, with everybody expecting her to just run through her opponent, become a big star, because now she's finally fighting in the step below getting into the UFC. You know, she's fighting for her contract. Her dad was a former champion, a legend. Not sure why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. You know, I was talking last time about the fact that, you know, him and the UFC kind of parted ways in a bad way, but with Bellamere being who she is, and Dana White's been, you know, he even said himself he was super biased coming into this because he's seen her come up from when she was, yeah, I hate how all these people are making fun of her. Yeah, man, it's fucked up. It is fucked up. I don't think her parents handled it in the best way. We'll get to that. But I also don't blame them. I also don't blame them because, you know, just the internet's fucked, bro. Like, it really is. I'm surprised I'm still on here doing this because I knew that from the get-go. The internet's a fucked up place, but I'm nowhere near big enough to get all that kind of hate. I've seen my fair share of trolls and assholes that want to talk shit or whatever, and I just deal with it to the best of my abilities without flying off the handle. This is probably why it's good that I wasn't doing this when I was younger, because listen, I was a hothead and I probably would have got myself canceled or in trouble a long time ago had I done this when I was younger. But now I got, you know, a little better head on my shoulders, and I've learned, and I'm a little more grown up, but I don't want to be tested either. So it's kind of a tricky spot. But when you're on the internet, you open yourself up to that kind of shit in a public, you know, in a public place like that, and you know, you don't really have a choice. If you're there, you open yourself up to that shit, and that's not a good reason. That's not a good reason or a good excuse for people to do it, but it's just the sad reality of the internet. Like, I went on her Insta and people are posting pics of themselves winning from betting against her, and that's what I don't like about betting, to be honest with you, because not only does it put unnecessary pressure on the fighter's shoulders, because then they have to deal with the hate from people who are like, you fucked up my parlay, you're a piece of shit, go, you know, off yourself because you made me lose my rent money or some shit. And it's like, bro, you're the dumbass that fucking bet it. Like, that's on you. You know what I mean? You don't hate on, you know, don't hate on a fighter for that. I get it, because I talk my fair share of shit about fighters here and there, but I'm never gonna wish like the worst on them and stuff like that. It's kind of fucked. So, you know, just people are stupid with the betting, and that's what I hate about betting, and that's what I hate about the fact that betting is such a big thing when it comes to, I mean, look, on this poster right here, you just see Bet365 at the bottom, and it's like that, you know, it says odds presented by, but the reason why that's on there is because betting has become such a big thing now, and it's kind of fucking with the fights themselves. You know what I mean? When you look at it and you're like, oh, minus fucking whatever she was. I think I heard like minus 4,000, minus 6,000, minus, I don't even know what this says here. 1,000. Is that what that one says? Here, I'll just blow it up for myself, because yeah, it's fucking, I'm surprised my eyes have held up as long as they have, but sometimes it gets a little tough because I am older, and that sucks. But oh, minus 1,600 is what that one says. But on Tapology, it was like minus 4,000 and some crazy shit. So yeah, man, it's oof. Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's fucked, man. But anyway, starting from the bottom, we had Nick Galante versus Carlos Petruzella, and that was your first fight on the card. And this one, it didn't last long at all. 35 seconds, and the fight was over. And that was your first round finish by Nick Galante. It was quick as hell. He wasted no time. Petruzella, you know, defended an early takedown, but then on, you know, kind of on the clinch, Galante opened up with some big heavy punches. As you see, that big right hand right there that connected in that top picture dropped Petruzella, and he finished him on the ground. So Galante earns himself a UFC contract. The big right hand that dropped Petruzella was, you know, he was damn near out already, and he got some huge shots landed on him on the ground before the ref got to end that one. So 35 seconds in, you got your first KO of the night, first round finish, and that is Nick Galante with the contract. Next up, another impressive performance by Ronald Humphrey. And I laugh, as you see, this is a pretty crazy picture, because you see all the blood. It's all over his opponent's arm, Alexis Miranda. And you know, he opened him up with a nasty elbow to the head. So basically, if you're looking at the picture, it's the left side of his head that got a huge gash in it right up here where he Humphrey landed an elbow. And I keep like laughing because his post-fight interview was fucking entertaining as hell. This fool was like going off talking mad shit and and just basically announcing himself as the next big thing in the 170 division, saying everybody's on notice, you better get out my way, vacate that belt because I'm coming for it, all kinds of shit. But he was funny as he said it. He's definitely a character, and he has some personality, and it's natural too. It's not forced. You know, you kind of saw a more calm version of him a little later on in the night after he got the contract and stuff, but directly after the fight, when the adrenaline was rushing and he was high off of that crazy win, yeah, he was talking his shit. This one lasted a little longer, 4 minutes and 3 seconds into the first round. You know, after him and Miranda exchanged some blows to each other. Miranda was catching Humphreys to the body. Humphrey, I mean, I keep saying Humphreys, was catching Humphrey to the body, but Humphrey had some good clean striking, and you know, he just came out just swarming his opponent. He showed good striking, he showed good takedowns and good ground game. So, you know, he stayed composed. He was dangerous once the fight got to the ground, and you know, he landed some shots on the feet too. So rear naked choke to get the finish in the first round, 4 minutes and 3 seconds in, and he is undefeated still at 5-0. And he gets the UFC contract. He was a minus 1400 huge favorite on that one as far as Tapology goes. So, and you know, obviously he got, you know, he had blood all over him because he landed that shot, that elbow, but he did bust up Miranda's face before that as well. So it just added to it. But that gash on his head was opened up pretty bad, and that's where all the blood came from. So, pretty exciting win there. I think Ronald Humphrey, between his character, his personality, and his fighting style, you know, obviously he's got some stuff to work on to tighten things up a little bit and you know, have a good not be so reckless in certain ways. But I think he's got a lot of good potential to become a big star. He, you know, it reminds me a little bit of Kevin Holland with the shit talking, but you know, after the fact. So I just saw a bunch of memes of people you know, saying stuff about him and his post-fight interview with when he was talking to Laura Sanko. He didn't even let her finish one of the sentences, you know, one of the questions she was asking, and he goes, I already got your answer, let's go. And he grabs the mic and starts talking shit. So it was interesting, it was fun, and he did a damn good job. So that is Ronald Humphrey. So be on the lookout for him. He got a UFC contract and got a first round finish with a submission. Next up, we had Sean Clancy versus Gary Bellato, and Sean Clancy gets the win here in the second round, so this one went a little longer. Clancy kind of controlled the fight with a combination of striking, you know, pressure and ground control, as you see in this picture. He consistently put Bellato in bad positions and pretty much wore him down as the fight progressed. The finish came in the second round with Clancy just being on top, mounted, as you see in the picture, landing a bunch of big strikes. He basically almost tired himself out. He was landing elbows and punching away as much as he could to get that finish, and forced the ref to step in 3 minutes and 54 seconds into the second round. So he stays undefeated as well at 9-0, and he was a big favorite too. A lot of big favorites in this one, and you know, most of the big favorites actually got the win. So moving on, we had Guilherme Uriel versus Mario Piazzone, and this was another quick finish 50 seconds into the first round. Basically, there was one exchange here, and that was Piazzone going in for a takedown. He immediately shot for a single leg, and Uriel saw the opening and, you know, defended, snatched up the neck, and sunk in the standing guillotine. It didn't look like it was gonna get locked in at first, but he readjusted and was able to get that guillotine to work, and, you know, most of the big favorites actually got the win. So pretty much ended it quickly, 50 seconds into the first round. It was one of those fights where, you know, basically the opening exchange just was the entire fight. And you know, the lead up was more than the fight itself, but it was still impressive. Quick finish for Uriel, and he gets the submission in the first round. So that puts him at 8-2, gets him a UFC contract. He was the favorite. He was only a slight favorite in this one though, at -170. So that brings us over to the controversial and you know, headline catching main event, which was Bellamir versus Alex Apodaca. And you know I mentioned when I talked about this one, when I thought it was going to be the second week, it was actually the third. But I heard Apodaca on the UFC Unfiltered podcast, and you know, I hadn't really heard of her much, and I didn't really know a lot about her. So when listening to her on that podcast, she seemed pretty confident. You know, she knew the pressure going in against somebody who had such hype around him, such high, you know, everyone was expecting a lot from her, from Bellamir, because of who she is, who her dad is, what she's done in UFC BJJ, what she's done in her previous MMA fights and in wrestling and stuff like that. So everyone's, you know, been high on Bellamir. And again, as much as it may be disappointing to some people that she lost, I feel like maybe she wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Because she only had four. Yeah, she only had 4 fights coming into this, and so did Apodaca, right? But she had a lot less to deal with. All she had was the pressure of fighting someone who had a lot of hype, a lot of eyes on her, and a lot of you know, expectations on Bellamir. And fighting somebody like that really leaves you nothing to lose, because everyone's expecting you to lose. So Apodaca decided, I'm going to turn this around, and got in there, realized she was able to change things and put it in her, you know, make it her game and her fight to lose. And that's what she did. Bellamir came out, she looked good. She put together some good combinations. I feel like she landed some decent strikes, to be honest. But you know, it was those kind of strikes that you would think would really hurt somebody, and Apodaca is either super durable or Bellamir just doesn't hit that hard. But they were clean strikes. They were clean. They were flush strikes, and I was kind of surprised. She had her maybe not in trouble, but she did affect her with some of those punches at first. And then of course her wrestling and grappling, you know, she had some success with that early, but Apodaca's takedown defense and striking, you know, basically took over and became the difference in the fight. As you can see, she busted in the first round. She busted Bellamir's nose with an elbow, and it was bleeding right away, but it progressively got worse, as you can see by that top picture where she landed a flush shot on her face there. Apodaca just took advantage of the situation. She got the best of Bellamir, and that's really all there is to it. You know, you win some, you lose some. The biggest problem with it all is the hype around her, the expectations, the pressure, the huge, you know, gap in the odds, the fact that everyone thought it was a given that she was going to win. And of course, you know, her parents are going to back her. Her parents are going to, you know, stick up for her when they see stuff online. But Frank Mir and his wife should already know what this is like, because Frank, I'm sure, had to deal with it to a certain extent. He wasn't around when, you know, he wasn't huge when social media was in the state that it's in now. But Bella, you know, they should know by now where the state of things, and unfortunately Apodaca, you know, I mean, Bellamir just wasn't able to pull off the win. She got the loss in the hey, what's up, all is good, how you doing?
What's happening with you, man?
But you know, in the end, like, the decision went to Apodaca. I feel like basically the third round really did it. I feel like I don't know, man. It was kind of close all the way through. I think Bellamir showed some good, you know, potential, and definitely showed that she has some great skills. But Apodaca's just she just had more. That's really all there is to it. it seemed like Bellamir's problem was her wrestling and grappling got neutralized. She didn't really have another plan. So and her striking is good, but it's not great. Like I said, she landed some really good strikes, but it just didn't seem to have enough power behind it. Random, but do you know of any female fighters who use the Philly shell? I was trying to think of any who use it but can't. No, man, that's actually a good question. I don't think there's a need for it in the women's division, especially with Amanda Nunes not really being there. There's some girls that can really strike like that, but I don't think there's enough women that strike that much to where, I think it's a different game for the women. Apodaca was composed. She took the big strikes that landed on her. She took them well. She responded to them well. She didn't get stunned. She kept herself composed, like you said, and she was able to turn things around and get the best of Mir. And she did it from round one. I think she took a lot of confidence away from Mir after withstanding any of the strikes that Bellamir landed, with the fact that she was able to begin to stop her wrestling and grappling early. I think that just broke Bellamir down a little bit. And come the second round, Mir came out, still was doing what she was doing, but Apodaca was just doing more. And I feel like in the third round, Mir did manage to kind of get to a position and get Apodaca in a position where, it could have been dangerous, but Apodaca defended and was able to, survive any submission threats and survive to the final bell. So, yeah, what's going on, Rain? How you doing? Welcome in. Appreciate you for coming in. But yeah, that's kind of how that went. So Bellamir, she came up short. And I don't think that's the end of her. That's, people saying fraud check and all that bullshit. She's young. She's fucking young. I think she's 20 or 19. No, she's 23. I'm sorry. She's 23. She's still young though. It's not like she's fucking, 33. She's 23. So I feel like she has a lot of time to work on her game. She's got a father who was super successful in the UFC. And a lot of times, when you're doing well in the other organizations, you're doing well in all the other competitions and stuff, the Contender Series is supposed to be where you go to test yourself. And if you're not ready, doesn't mean it's over. It means you might get another chance, especially when your dad is who he is. So again, I think they'll be apprehensive in hyping her as much as she was being hyped until she proves herself. But I think that she'll get another shot. We've seen it plenty of times. There was even plenty of guys on this card that got second chances in the Contender Series. She'll get another chance. Look at Bo Nickel, fought multiple times, even though he was winning. Still fought multiple times in the Contender Series. Sometimes it's a way to platform these fighters that have the potential and the star power, and have the kind of background that she has. And it's a way that they can get her super ready and still be within the organization to a certain extent. You know what I mean? So they want her there. So she's going to get another chance, guaranteed. But like I was saying earlier, it feels like the parents got a little defensive, of course, as I fully understand. But I think they went about it kind of wrong. And I think that's the part that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, because her mom says, best day of her life. Suck it up, baby girl. That's what she's telling Bella. And then she said, I'm sure Dana will be firing some judges tonight. I love Jedi that's popping out from my daughter fucking you up. The stars were aligned for you tonight, baby girl. You lucked out tonight. The judges were obviously in your favor. Celebrate a win that you didn't earn. Like, bro, I said her parents, but obviously it's mostly her mom. I thought he had a statement in there too, but it was all her. So I get it. You're trying to make your daughter feel better. You're trying to justify the loss. You know what I mean? And I just feel like it was in poor. It was kind of bad. Because all she did was go after the judges and go after Apodaca. You know what I mean? And all Apodaca did was what she was there to do, which was fight and win. That was her job at the time. It wasn't her job to go in there and get smashed by Bellamir and make her look good. It was her job to go in there and try to fight for a contract, and she did, and she won, and she got the contract. So what did she fucking do? You know what I mean? It's not like she's over there calling her all the bad names and saying all the bad things to her that everybody on the internet was saying. But that's the thing, like John brought up earlier, you know, that people were talking mad shit about the fact that she, you know, she lost and they bet on her and all this other bullshit, you know, fraud check bullshit. Apparently there was death threats and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but the fucking internet, man. So here's Bellamir's statement. She says, "I've lost so many times, big or small. Each loss carries me into a different mindset and learning experience to be a better athlete. I have overcome every single obstacle in my life, and I will overcome this one. Now it's just a bit different that this loss is more famous than all my other losses. Thank you so much to everyone sending me love and encouragement. And I promise to all of you that it takes way more than hate and one single loss in my MMA career to break me. I want to thank my team, my family, my fans, and Dana for getting me here and further. I also want to thank Alex for taking this fight. All respect to her. That's awesome. Every time I lose, I come back and win something bigger and better. No loss has ever defined me, and neither will this one. And how cool is it to do what I love on such a big platform, literally living my dream. Next best thing." Now, were those her words alone, or was that just a well put together, statement that was given to her? Either way, I'm gonna go ahead and give her the benefit of the doubt. Sounds like those are her words, and those are good words. That's the way it should have been handled. She gave props to her opponent who won, and she didn't downplay it. She said she'll come back bigger and better. She said she always bounces back in a big way, and so that's good. That's the mindset she should have had. Her mom, it's weird because you think, oh well, it's a reflection of how the kids were brought up, but it's not always the case. You know what I mean? Her mom handled it in a really bad way. She handled it in a really good way. But like I said, I understand, because you'll know now why she said the things she said. Not giving her the out, not saying that these are good reasons for her to say the things she said, but her mom put out another statement, an apology, saying, "I want to address the comments I made after the fight, but first I want to give you a very deserved explanation. After the fight, I went onto Bella's comments and saw comments telling my daughter to die and kill herself. I reacted purely as an emotional and protective mother after seeing my daughter go through a hard loss, and I let alcohol and adrenaline get the better of me. However, this is zero excuse. I want to sincerely apologize to Alex Apodaca, her team, the judges, and the fans. Alex fought a brilliant fight and earned that win fair and square and deserves nothing but respect. My out-of-line comments were entirely my own and do not reflect Bella, her team, or the values she trains by. I'm stepping back from social media to let Bella focus on her recovery, and I ask everyone to direct my frustration towards me and not my daughter." So, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you're supposed to be... What a mess. Mom running her management. Yeah, man. It's bad. Like, this is the thing. Like, it's kind of what I saw out of Mir. Frank Mir kind of had a weird way of handling things, and I didn't like it back in the day, but he was a great fighter, and I feel like people can change. But as you can see, her mom said she let alcohol get the best of her. And listen, I have a lot of hate in me when I see somebody mess with my kids. The fight itself wasn't even the problem for her. It was what was being said online about her. That's why you don't go. That's why you have to prepare yourself. You don't go online. You can't do that, especially right after the fight. You have to kind of just leave that alone for a minute and maybe look later when you're not drunk, when you're not in an emotional state, watching your child go through something that, but she's an adult too, and that doesn't change anything, as any of us that have kids know, especially kids that are grown. Just because they're adults now doesn't mean you feel any less protective or any less defensive over them. Phones should have a breathalyzer. I'm surprised they don't at this point. But yeah, man, it's just bad. It's just bad. Yeah, I mean,
It's gonna be bad, bro. Just it's gonna be bad.
I mean, her mom went on that one. But, you know, and unfortunately, it's going to reflect on her daughter. You know, now she's got to hear, her daughter's going to hear about how her drunk mom talked all kinds of shit on the internet and went too far, and she's fucked up and this, that. She's going to have to hear about her mom now. Unfortunately, the mom doesn't understand it. Maybe she does, but there's nothing else she can really do. She put out the statement. She apologized. May not be the best thing in the world still, but it is what it is, and it was just handled wrong. She definitely needs to, her mom would not be known if her daughter wasn't famous. Well, she's known still for being Frank Mir's wife, but maybe not as known. Because, you know, she's been around for a long time because of Frank Mir. So but she, you know, she might not be as known. So yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation, stupidly handled situation, and it is what it is. I'm hoping for the best for Bellamere. I hope she comes back. I hope that she bounces back from this and does well. Doesn't mean that, you know, I don't think it means that she should, you know, give up on herself or anything like that. I think she has skills, and I think that she definitely has potential. So I'm hoping to see that all come through and her be able to prove herself. And if she doesn't do well, then maybe MMA is not for her. Maybe she needs to stick with jiu-jitsu and wrestling and stuff. RAF is a good place for someone like her if she's not gonna, you know, if MMA just doesn't prove to be, you know, good for her. And UFC still has UFC BJJ, so it may not be the biggest thing out there, but between that and RAF, good things to go to if MMA doesn't work out for her. So, or, you know, and she doesn't have to go to the UFC right away. She can spend a year or two in a different organization, LFA, PFL, something like that. Where does she fight her 4 fights previously? Because she was undefeated coming into this. She fought in, I mean, she's already been in RAF. She's already been in UFC BJJ. She fought in Cage Fury or Fury. And CFFC. So, you know, there's other organizations out there. She can still maybe get a few more fights under her belt. That might be best. But anyway, that's the Bellamere situation. Congrats to Alex Apodaca. You know, we focus a lot on the Mir situation, but she came out of a huge winner in this, being a massive underdog. Anybody that bet on her wants some damn good money, guarantee that. But you know, the betting part is not the best. It was 29-28 on all 3 judges' scorecards, so they did give a round to Bellamere regardless of which one, but all 3 judges saw it that way. So yeah, Apodaca gets a contract. We had 5, you know, all 5 winners of all 5 fights got contracts, and that was UFC or Dana White's Contender Series, season 10, week 3. Thoughts on Deepwater's podcast having only old school fighters in the GOAT list, i.e. Aldo over Volk? I think it has a bit to do with the fact of who they are, who the guys all are. All the guys on there are somewhat old school fighters themselves. Obviously Dean Thomas, but then you have Gamebred, Masvidal, Dustin Poirier, and Chris Weidman, who are kind of all in the similar kind of area of time that they all came up in, but they all idolized the older fighters that came right before them. So I'm not surprised. You know, you don't have a Sean O'Malley, you don't have a you know, a lot of the younger guys doing that podcast. So it makes sense to me that the older guys would pick the older guys. And sometimes after you fight and stuff like that too, you also still pay homage to the guys that came before you. So I mean, there's not much more to say than that. I think that a lot of us get caught up in nostalgia. A lot of us get caught up in how it used to be and the old days, and you know, there is something to be said about the fact that the fights there was a lot fewer fights, so you really had to make something of every single appearance you had out there, and it wasn't just, oh, I'm gonna get another fight later this year, so it's no big deal or anything like that. It was always going out there to prove something, as well as way back in the day when it was you know, damn near no rules, and anything could happen, and sometimes you would even fight more than once a night. So you know, things have changed quite a bit, and a lot of people hold a standard to that, and the fact that, you know, it's no longer just like a street fight type of deal anymore. Now it's real true training, professionalism, and science behind a lot of the things that the fighters do these days, including possible, you know, enhancements and stuff that are flying under the radar because of today's kind of, you know, advances in science and everything like that. So yeah, but back in the day, people were doing PEDs as well. So I mean, maybe that's the wrong thing to talk about, but yeah, it's just they have the PI now. They have they're big on nutrition. They're big, so a lot of people see it as kind of a different kind of sport. Less bar brawl style now. Exactly. Everything seems more technical, more tactical, and you know, it's not just a bloodbath that you see on like BKFC. That's still like old school UFC, where it was like everything was brutal and gruesome. It's just not like that anymore. So a lot of people still hold the older fighters that were in the organization that when it was kind of like that, as you know, even though Aldo wasn't really like that, but he came from a different era. It was just a different time, and you know, they'll put people like that over someone like Volk because of the long standing. Yeah, people don't go on really long championship reigns anymore like they used to. So that's why a lot of people still hold Anderson Silva, John Jones, Aldo, a lot of the guys that held belts for a long time, GSP, because they, you know, nowadays it seems like everyone's just the titles change of hands all the time. So and it never used to be that way, and I think that affects a lot of people's ability to, you know, see any of these fighters that have been here for a while over the past like 10 years as legendary or great, or to be on a GOAT list. You know what I mean? So that's what I think about that one. Kind of long-winded, but I think you get what I mean. Anyway, let's move on to UFC Shanghai and talk about this fight coming up here. Hey, I appreciate that. All is good. So we got the UFC fighting in Shanghai, China. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong in the main event. And you know, this is probably, you know, the best fight on the card. Obviously, it's definitely that I picked the wrong one. It's definitely the a good fight. What did I do here? Is it this one? Why I've been doing this. This has just been messing with me. The past. There it is. I see, and I even renamed it, and I don't know. I gotta find a different way. I said that last time too, but I just get myself all mixed up here. But I got it. All right, so yeah, I mean, Umar obviously shown a lot of dominance and a lot of, you know, good skills, and Song Yadong has some good power in his hands, but Nurmagomedov's 20-1 overall. So he is at the moment a pretty heavy favorite at -550, while Song Yadong is at a +410 underdog. So I mean, it's an interesting matchup, and I think it's a good main event. So let's start from the bottom of the main card and talk about those fights before we get to this main event and dig deeper. And we start with Bilal Hassan versus Nilson Rojas. Hold on. How did I miss this one? I left this one off my list. That's annoying. Oh no, there it is. Okay. All right, this is happening in the flyweight division. As we can see, a couple guys making their UFC debuts, coming out of, I think this is the Road to the UFC fighters. No, Hassan was on Contender Series. Okay, so he's making his UFC debut coming off of Contender Series. Maybe it's the undercard that has it. And this guy Nielsen is coming from an outside organization. I don't even know what organization that is. Anyway, both of them are 9-0, which is interesting. Flyweight fight here, both on 9-fight win streaks, obviously, because they're both 9-0, making UFC debuts. 7-0 for KO TKOs for both of them, which is, I mean, this is kind of crazy. You don't see this very often, that they both kind of have similar stats, you know what I mean, in the categories. We got 1-0 for Hassan in submissions, while Rojas has only finished his fights by KO TKO on the feet or 2 decision wins. And then Hassan is, you know, has at least 1 win in every category. So it makes it an interesting fight. And coming in as UFC debuts, we saw Hassan, 3 fighters overweight. Oh shit, I didn't even see that yet. I've been a little busy today, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to dig deep into anything that was happening. So damn, that sucks. Which fighters do you know off the top of your head? But Hassan, like I said, coming off the Contender Series, got a win over there. And that was a TKO win, 45 seconds into the first round. Pilastri and girl she's fighting. Oh, Jesus. That's even worse when, you know, both girls are overweight. That's rough. But yeah, Hassan coming off of the Contender Series, fought in CFFC before that, and has a lot of a few first round finishes, I should say, but a lot of TKO wins, a submission mixed in there. He was a champion over in CFFC as well, and his last 4 fights coming into this fight have all been TKO wins, 1 going into the 4th round, 2 going in, happening in the 1st round, and then 1 in the 2nd. So interesting there from him. And then Nielsen Rojas is 9-0 as well, and Lima, damn. Oh yeah, you did say 3. Nielsen's coming off a decision win in his last fight. Before that, had 4, 5, 6 TKOs in a row, and none of them, only 1 got past the 2nd round into the 3rd. The rest were all 1st round finishes, except for 1 that was in the 2nd round. So yeah, these guys look like they're ready to, you know, have a war on the feet and see who gets their first official UFC win. As you can see, Hassan on top with that big punch in the Contender Series, and Nielsen at the bottom with the knee to the body. So that should be an interesting fight to get it started. Next up, another couple names you might not really know, because I believe there's only Levi Rodriguez Jr. has 1 fight in the UFC, and he's 0-1, while C. Liu is making his UFC debut. He's 3-1 overall, 3-1 by KO TKO, and has not had any finishes on the ground or by decision, and he's coming off a win. Levi Rodriguez 0-1 in the UFC, 5-1 overall, 5-1 by KO TKO as well, and no subs or decisions, and he's coming off a loss, his only, you know, fight in the UFC, and that was to hold on one second. Fade, PET, cheat, Levi 0-1 without rights. Oh shit. Okay. Let's see, who did he fight? Felipe Franco got TKO'd in the 2nd round. Oh, got you. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, and then he had a no contest that was a fight that was overturned in the Contender Series. Before that, he fought in the LFA, where he had you know, a bunch of TKO wins, spanning a lot of 1st round finishes, but some 3rd and 2nd rounds mixed in there as well. Looks like he boxed at one point in time, but yeah. So he's 0-1 coming into this, and then you've got C. Liu, who was I think a big in kickboxing for a while. Yeah, he was a champion in kickboxing. Had a lot of TKO wins over there. And then he won his last fight by TKO in the first round. Kicker, yeah, definitely has some kickboxing skills, as you can see in that picture. He's in the ring, plus he's got the bigger gloves on. But yeah, I saw some of the stuff I saw from him. Definitely had he's dangerous with those kicks. So yeah, this should be an interesting fight happening in the light heavyweight division. It looks like Lou has the reach advantage. Yeah, looks like they both got power, and they both have, you know, finishing abilities, as we can see from their records. So Rodriguez really got to kind of get in on that reach of Lou and stay away from those damn kicks, because that kickboxer is definitely going to work everything in well, especially if he establishes his range and you know, gets comfortable and gets a rhythm going. He's going to keep Rodriguez at bay and you know, break him down with those kicks. So we'll see what we get out of it. Rodriguez is the slight underdog at +160 according to Tapology, while C. Lou is a -185 favorite. And that brings us into the next fight, which is Alex Perez versus Sumadarji. Couple names we know a little better. And this is happening in the flyweight division. Alex Perez coming off a win. He's 8-6 in the UFC, 7-2 by KO TKO, 7-6 by sub, 12-2 by decision. A lot of damn decisions for him. And then you got Sumadarji on a 3-fight win streak, 19-7 overall, 6-4 in the UFC, 13-0 by KO TKO. That's a damn impressive stat right there. 1-6 by sub though, so that takes it down a bit. And then he's 5-1 by decision. Doesn't let a lot go to decision, mostly finishes on the feet. 13 out of his 19 are, you know, KO TKO wins, which is crazy. But yeah, this is a rematch where they fought each other before. Let me see when that was. Oh, yeah, the no contest. Lima 127, Pilastri 118.5, and Jingjiang Nan 117. Damn. All right, everyone's fucking missing by a lot. That's tough. But yeah. Hey, all right, Infinity. Appreciate you, man. Thanks. So yeah, this is Alex Perez and Sumadarji. It was an accidental low blow that Perez couldn't continue after the second round, so there was a no contest. So yeah, we got a rematch here. Perez is you know, known for his jiu-jitsu and grappling. 7 KO TKO wins and 7 submission wins, like I said. So you know, he can win kind of every which way. He's got 12 decision wins, though. That's a lot. But we'll see if he's gonna take it down to the ground, or if he's gonna, you know, try to stay on the feet. But Sumadarji has all those wins on the feet, and that's gonna make a difference here. We'll see which one can get the upper hand and play his game. But as you can see, Perez can you know, stand and bang, as well as you know, work the grappling and jiu-jitsu on the ground. You know, Sumadarji's last win was a unanimous decision before he had that no contest with Perez. So Sumadarji is going to have the reach advantage, 72-inch reach. So Perez is definitely going to have to get past that range, and if he can get the grappling working, that could be his best way to get the upper hand here. But if Sumadarji keeps it at the kicking and punching range and keeps him on the outside at the end of those strikes, he's going to definitely have the advantage on the feet. And you know, we'll see how durable Perez is and what he can do. and what they learned from each other after fighting almost 2 rounds in their last fights against each other. So, you know, there was nothing real definitive that happened in that last fight, but Perez from -180 favorite first fight to a +180 dog. Sumu WKO. Yeah. I mean, I'm leaning on the Sumudarji side as well. He's a -210 favorite here, and a +165 for Perez according to Tabology. So yeah, this is kind of a, we'll see which way it goes, because I think if it stays on the feet, Sumudarji's getting the upper hand, but if it goes to the ground, Perez will do his best down there. So we'll see which way this fight goes. Next up, we have Aori Quiling versus Kai Asakura. Kai Asakura, you know, one of the guys that came in, got a title fight right away. Had a lot of hype around him, a lot of success in the past and rising and stuff, but you know, he came in and was not able to get it done against Pantoja, and you know, he gave it a good fight, but Pantoja did well. So yeah, he's got a 1-2 record right now in the UFC, which is tough, but he's got 14 wins by KO TKO with only 3 losses. He's 3-2 by sub and 5-1 by decision. He is coming off a loss. As like I said, he's got 2 losses. That first one coming from Pantoja on you know, on his first fight for the title, and then his last fight, wait a minute, I screwed that up. He's actually coming off a win. Cameron Smotherman. I thought that was right, so I messed that one up. My bad. Yeah, he's coming off a win over Cameron Smotherman, TKO, and he got a performance of the night bonus. So that was a first round finish, 1 minute and 50 seconds in. He lost to Pantoja and then lost to Tim Elliott. That's right. I was thinking, I remember it being a really bad start for him, and he's only turned it around recently with that win. Aori Quiling, I don't remember exactly how to say his name, but he's the one coming off a loss to Cody Haddon. Second round TKO loss for him there. Before that, he had a first round TKO win 21 seconds into the first round over Cody Gibson, and got a performance of the night bonus on that one. So he's definitely going to be looking to turn it around and get back in that win column, especially after his last win having a bonus on it. But Kai Asakura's definitely trying to climb the ladder and make his way to the upper part of the rankings in the UFC, like he was used to being outside of the UFC. But with only 1 win there, and that being his last fight, we'll see if that momentum can push him forward and get him to you know, get on a good win streak. I think he, you know, Asakura is definitely the more explosive fighter, has the finishing power, and you know, he's just definitely hungry to get, like I said, higher up in the rankings. I think Aori Quiling is, you know, he's definitely aggressive. He hunts for knockouts. He's pressure heavy, and he can, you know, he can make the fight. He can make the fight you know, a pretty aggressive one. So we'll see what kind of fight he brings to Asakura, and we'll see if Kai Asakura can, you know, kind of keep his head level and get another win and start putting together a good win streak after a couple losses in a row. But you know, it will be good. They will bang. Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a good fight on the feet. They both bring high volume and pressure, and I think that I think we're gonna get a finish out of this one. It's probably the best bet for this. Asakura is a heavy favorite at -400, while +320 underdog for Aori Quiling. So yeah, man, Asakura should be getting the win here, but I mean, he's fighting a dangerous opponent that has finishing power as well. So we'll see. You gonna be up for the companion? No, man. I got some things I got to do during the day, in the morning actually. So to get up that early and try to get these other things done, it's probably not gonna work out for me. So I'm gonna try to aim for the Paris card, because it's happening like midday for me here in Arizona. So plus I kind of like that card a little better. So I'm looking at trying to do the watch party for the Paris fight coming up next weekend, the weekend after this fight. So be on the lookout for that. I'll let you guys know for sure next week. Moving on, we got the women that one of the women fights, Yan Xiaonan versus Denise Gomez. Yan Xiaonan, as we know, gave a great fight to Weili Zhang when she fought for the title. She came up short, but you know, still she was tough as hell. She basically got choked out damn near to sleep in that fight and came back and still fought hard. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this fight when I have some time on Saturday. But yeah, I want to get up, but because it's like 3 a.m. here, it's gonna be tough. Let's see, 3 to like maybe it ends at 6. I guess fuck, man, I really did want to do it. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Maybe I pop up out of nowhere. We'll see, because if nothing really goes on tomorrow and I make the decision, I could get up, watch it, and then maybe catch an hour or two of sleep before I have to do anything else. But we'll see. Who knows? You never know. That's why it's always good to make sure that you're subscribed and you have that notification bell checked so you can be notified whenever I go live or put out any other kind of content, because I have been putting out shorts. If you haven't seen them, just making some edits and stuff of the cards coming up. I feel like it's a good way to get get people to know who's fighting on the next card, what the next card is, and stuff like that, and it just kind of goes well with the podcast. So I've been making edits like that. Nothing too crazy, I don't have enough time to like dig real deep into edits, but I like to make them a little fun and have some fun with it. So plus just extra content to put out there. I do like making them too, so just coming up with ideas and being creative outside of the podcast. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Follow me on TikTok as well. I also post them there as well as shorts. And I haven't been that active on Instagram or anything else like that, except for just posting the stuff for when I put the podcast out. But yeah, I definitely like to, I might start posting them on Instagram too. I just feel like TikTok and shorts are kind of better outlets right now, just looking at things. So but yeah, I'll definitely keep them coming. I like doing them, and so far I've been trying to stay on the preview stuff to go with the preview show, and then the recap stuff to go with the recap show. So I'll always like post the winners and stuff and make edits of those and things like that. So I'll get better with them and do more with them as it goes on. But especially for the numbered events, I try to do more, like break it more down into like the main event matchups and stuff like that, instead of putting the whole card on one whole like edit. I'll do like just the main card and then some of the other fights individually and stuff. So Andre Lima 127 Pilastri, oh yeah, no fights were canceled. Well, that's good, at least they all stayed on. Appreciate that, Larissa. Thanks for the info. And yeah, because I didn't see that, but I'm glad none of the fights got canceled. So that's what kind of sucks. You're sitting here kind of breaking it down, and then you find out one of the fights was canceled. It's like, damn. I always hate that, just because then it just doesn't feel accurate. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is what sucks about these really early morning fights too, is then the weigh-ins and stuff like that happen, and I kind of forget that they happen, so I missed it, and yeah, it's just tough. I'm so used to the other regular timings and stuff like that. But anyway, Yan Xiaonan 19-5 overall, 9-4 in the UFC, 8-1 by KO TKO, 1-1 by sub, and 10-3 by decision. She is coming off a loss. Denise Gomez 12-3 overall, 6-2 in the UFC, 7-1 by KO TKO. She's got zeros in that submission column, hasn't been subbed or subbed anybody. And then 5-2 by decision. She's on a 3-fight win streak. Oops, what did I do here? Yeah, Yan Xiaonan coming off a loss to Virna Jandiroba, who fought for the title not too long ago against Mackenzie Dern for that vacant title and lost, but she beat Yan Xiaonan by decision, unanimous decision. So that was Xiaonan's last fight. Before that, she beat Tabitha Ricci by decision, And then before that was that title fight that she lost to Weili Zhang. Denise Gomez is on a 3-fight win streak, and she's actually on a 4-fight win streak. I said 3, it's 4. It says it right there too, and I don't know why I said 3. She beat Eduarda Mora by decision, Karolina Kowalkiewicz by decision, Elise Reed by TKO, and then Tisha Pennington in her last fight by decision. She got a performance of the night bonus against Elise Reed for that TKO win there. So yeah, I mean, Jan's primarily a striker, you know. She wins a lot of fights by decision, but she's you know, she's a technical striker and a volume puncher, so she likes to take it into deep waters and try to put the pressure and the volume on her opponent. A lot of you know, she's pretty accurate as well. Gomez's style, aggressive, you know, she's forward pressure type striker. She likes body to head shots, and I mean body to head combinations. And then she forces her opponents to get into exchanges with her, which, you know, she can bait Xiaonan into a, you know, a striking battle, but that's kind of what Xiaonan does anyway. But she puts the volume on, tries to be more technical and accurate. So if Gomez baits her into a brawl, you know, that could be where she gets the upper hand. It's just a matter of where Xiaonan decides she's going to let this fight go, or if she's going to, you know, because I feel like her being the more technical fighter, if she can control that, that would be her best route. So she can, you know, kind of get the decision win over somebody like Gomez, who likes to make it, you know, a dirty fight, and not dirty in the way of cheating, but I just mean more of a brawl, more of a, you know, not so technical fight. But her combinations are dangerous, as well as her kicks, as you can see here with that big kick to the head of Kowalkiewicz. She's just aggressive, and you know, the forward pressure can break some people down. So, and she's on a 4-fight win streak, riding a high. Yan Xiaonan trying to get back into that win column. So will she stop the win streak of Gomez, or will Gomez, you know, be able to extend to 5? You know, with Yan, she's returning after more than a year away and coming off that loss. So, you know, ring rust is a possibility. We'll see. Gomez has been active, so that's a big difference as well. As of right now, it looks like Gomez is Yan Xiaonan is a slight favorite at -145, while Gomez is a +115. So pretty close there. I feel like could be a decent matchup. We'll see how Yan Xiaonan comes back after that long layoff, and especially coming off a loss, and then fighting somebody like Gomez, who's on a high right now and on a win streak, and likes to fight aggressively and put forward pressure on her. This could go either way, but yeah, Yan Xiaonan seems to be the slight favorite. So moving on, we have our main event, and that is Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong. And with this one, you know, Umar on a 2-fight win streak, 20-1 overall, 8-1 in the UFC. His only loss was to Merab. He's 2-0 by KO TKO, 7-0 by sub, and 11-1 by decision. Song Yadong, 12-4 in the UFC, 9-2 by KO TKO, 4-0 by sub, and 10-6 by decision. So, you know, kind of similar there. What's up, Christian? How you doing, bro? Welcome in. Song Yadong has more KO TKO wins, but Umar's never been finished on the feet, so that's a difference there. Neither one of them have ever been subbed. Umar has more submission wins than Song, and then they both have double digits in decisions. So wouldn't be surprised if you see this one get to a decision. They're both coming off wins. Umar's on a 2-fight win streak, like I said, and Umar is coming off of wins over Davison Figueiredo in his last fight, unanimous decision win there, as well as a unanimous decision win over Mario Bautista. His last loss was a unanimous decision loss to Merab, but he did get a fight of the night bonus on that one. 28 decisions combined. Yeah, man, that's fucking tough. That is tough. So Yeah, we'll see what we get out of this one. More than likely a decision, which is tough, but Song Yadong has some good power in his hands. But Umar's wrestling and grappling, and his submissions are gonna be, they can definitely be an equalizer, or I should say put him in the dominant position. And yeah, coming off of the win over Figgy, man, he's I'm sorry, Song's win over Davison Figueiredo was a big one for him. He's got explosive striking and power, and then he's dangerous at range and good at catching opponents with counters when they enter. So let's see if he can make that be his advantage over Umar and catch him on an entry. But Umar's slick with the takedowns, and he's got such good wrestling and stuff. It's gonna be tough for Song to catch him like the way he's caught opponents in the past. Let's see what else. I'm just thinking, for me, when it comes down to it, Umar's just been super dominant, and that's I mean, is Song Yadong the guy that's gonna change that up? It's so far the only person to be able to beat him is Merab when he was a champ. So I don't have too much faith in Song Yadong right now, but he does have that power in his hands that can allow him to possibly catch Umar on an entry, like I said earlier. But Umar needs to just make sure he's gets inside like he does. His chain wrestling and takedowns is gonna really rack up that control time and probably lead him to a decision win, unless he finds a submission. And it'd be nice to see him get the finish instead of just let it go to another decision. But with both these guys having as many decision wins as they both have, it might just be a decision at the end. I just think Song is capable of hurting him if he catches him, but he's got to catch him first. 5 rounds of Umar's grappling and pace and ability to control where the fight takes place is going to be tough for Song Yadong to overcome. So if he doesn't catch him early, it's going to be a tough night for him. So that's kind of what I'm feeling on this one. And that's your main event for UFC Shanghai. Let's talk about these prelims real quick, and then we will look at my predictions as well as the fight wheel, and we'll do the fight wheel predictions as well. I've lost 2 weeks in a row now to the fight wheel, the totally random fight wheel predictions. So I'm hoping to bounce back and get a win here, but it's tough, especially when the wheel is just random. That's why I don't bet that much, really, because it just kind of takes things into a different area for me that I don't really like to go all the time. I like just watching the fights, and when favorites of mine are fighting is when I'm a little more invested. Otherwise, I'm just watching to watch for good fights. That's kind of how it goes. Because I like watching fights, But we got the first fight of the night is Ding Meng versus Cam Nelson. Meng being coming off of Dana White's Contender Series in season 8, made his debut in May, and he lost split decision. So he's 35-10 overall, though. A lot of damn fights for him. This is happening in the welterweight division. Cam Nelson 7-1 overall, and making his UFC debut. Meng Ding is 0-1 in the UFC. Nelson coming off some wins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. He was a champion. He had a championship bout and won the title in his last fight coming into the UFC. A TKO win in the second round. Has some decisions and a sub in there as well over the past few wins that he's been on. So he's looking to make a splash in the UFC and get a big win over Meng Ding, who is 0-1 in the UFC. So we'll see how that one goes for him. Next up, we have the 2 women that missed weight apparently earlier, thanks to Larissa and who else told me that people missed weight? Rain? No, it was Larissa both times. Okay, appreciate that, Larissa. But yeah, as we heard earlier, they both missed weight. Julia Pilastri misses weight by 3.5 pounds. Damn. And Zhang Zhang missed weight by 2 pounds or 1 pound. So 2.5 pounds and 1 pound. I forget about the 1 pound allowance. So yeah, this was supposed to be at straw weight, so they should have been weighing in at 115. But yeah, they both weighed over that. So but the fight's still on, so that's good. We got Zhang Jingnan at 19-3. She's 0-1 in the UFC, while Julia Pilastri 14-6 overall, 2-3 in the UFC. Both have those losing records in there in the UFC, but Jingnan was 10-1 in one championship before she came, but she fought Angela Hill in her first fight, so that's a tough one. Unanimous decision. No surprise there to Angela Hill, who is kind of the gatekeeper, and she makes it tough for these women coming into the UFC to get a win in their first fight, because she tends to fight a lot of those kind of fights, and she definitely gets the win. So Julia Pilastri, 2-3 in the UFC. She's coming off a loss by decision to Talita Elankar. Before that, she beat Karolina Kovacevic by strikes or by TKO. She got a performance of the night bonus there. She's been on a win-loss type of streak, so she's due for a win here. We'll see if she can get that win, even though they both came in overweight. Yeah, that fight's still on, so we'll see what happens with that one. Next up, we have Lawrence Liu versus Hector Santiago. 8-1 for Liu, while Santiago is 6-1, both making their UFC debuts and looking to get their first official UFC win. They're coming from Road to the UFC, it looks like. So this must be the finale of that show. Streaming this card, I'm not sure all is good. I at the moment I don't plan to, because it's at 3 a.m. for me, so I have some other stuff I got to do. But if I change my mind, I might pop up out of nowhere, so just have those notifications turned on for you, and we'll see. But as of right now, I don't plan on it, so I'm waiting for Paris next weekend, and we'll do that one for sure. Hector Santiago as well, coming off of, oh no, he's coming from LFA. So Liu is coming from Road to the UFC, where he won 3 fights over there, and Santiago's coming from LFA, where he's 0-1. I mean 1-0 there. He's on a 2-fight win streak from other organizations. I'm not exactly sure. Money Moicano MMA was his last fight. Oh shit, Moicano's fighting organization. He got a TKO win there in the first round, and then in a different organization he got a decision win over Fernando Enrique by unanimous decision. So those are his other 2 fights this year. Before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak. So yeah, 2 guys making their debut. We got looks like Liu is the favorite at -300, while Santiago is a +250 underdog. Next up, we got Long Zhao versus Francesco Nuzzi in the bantamweight division. Zhao is 27-11 overall, 1-2 in the UFC. Nuzzi's making his UFC debut. He's 11-2 overall, and Zhao is on a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to Su Young Yu by decision, and then lost to Cody Garbrandt by decision. Thank you, all is good. Appreciate you. His last win was against Quang Lee by TKO in the 3rd round. That was back in 2024. So he's definitely looking to get a win. Barry Bonds, man. We got Francesco Nuzzi coming in, making his UFC debut. He was 1-1 in the PFL before. He was fighting in Cage Warriors right before this. He had a no contest in his last fight, and then a TKO before that over Lucas Rodriguez in the first round. So yeah, that's that fight. And let's get to the other set of prelims leading up to the main card. We got Jack Jenkins. Where is this fight? Jack Jenkins versus Sean Woodson. This one should definitely be an interesting matchup for sure. Probably will give us a pretty decent fight here. Jack Jenkins 4-2 in the UFC, 14-4 overall. He got a win over Ramon Tavares in his last fight. Let's see. He's coming from the Contender Series as well. Yeah, he got a decision win there. He's been on a win-loss type streak, but definitely a fun fighter to watch. And so is Sean Woodson, who is 7-2 in the UFC, coming off a loss to Dan Ige, but he was on a good win streak before that with 4, 5, 6 wins in a row, either by decision or TKO for all of those fights. And the 2 TKO wins were both in the first round. Definitely an exciting matchup here. Both guys definitely bring the fight to, you know, their opponent, so it should be a good one here for this fight. Next up, we have Ray Suruya versus Kevin Borjas in the flyweight division. Suruya 11-1, coming in at 2-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a win over Luis Gurule by submission in the first round. Before that, he lost to Joshua Van by decision, and then before that, he had a lot of wins in a row. So yeah, he's definitely one to watch out for. Kevin Borjas gets into some crazy fights sometimes. We've seen in the past. He's 2-4 in the UFC. He won his last fight by decision over Andre Lima. Before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak where he lost a TKO and a decision. A lot of losses in the recent past, but you know, he's one of those guys that brings the fight to his opponent, and you know, he can actually give a good fight to Ray Suruya. But Suruya is definitely the huge favorite at -600. While Borjas, you know, he fights a little reckless, and I think that's part of his problem. So he's a +450 underdog, and that might be part of the issue with him and why he loses so much. But hey, sometimes it's entertaining. So last fight, Namsari Batbayar versus Andre Lima. As we saw earlier, Lima came in at 127, so 2 pound or 1 pound over the allotted weight. So I'm sure he'll get fined for that, but the fight's still on. Lima is 4-1 in the UFC, 11-1 overall, while Batbayar 10-1 overall, making his UFC debut. He's coming off of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight win streak. A lot of TKOs and subs only in all those wins, coming from Road to the UFC, where he got 3 wins there. So that should be, you know, a good fight there against Andre Lima. We'll see if the weight makes a difference here. He's coming off a loss to Kevin Borjas by decision, like I said earlier when talking about Borjas. Before that, he was on a pretty good win streak after he won in the Contender Series to get the contract. He went on a 1, 2, 3, 4 fight win streak with submission and decision wins, with a performance of the night bonus mixed in there as well. So we'll see what he can do against the Road to the UFC guy. And that is your prelims for UFC Shanghai. Let's take a look at the fight wheel predictions as well as mine. Well, we'll make the fight wheel predictions. And I'm going with a lot of favorites, but I just can't see it going in any other way. That's kind of just how it landed. But when it comes down to it, I've also been on a losing streak to the fight wheel after I was doing well against the fight wheel. So which fight are you most excited for besides the main event? Besides the main event, I think I would probably say I'm looking forward to watching Kaya Sakura and Aori Quayling. That, I mean, I feel like that, or Sumadarji versus Perez. I think those 2 fights, we're gonna get I think we're gonna get a good striking battle out of one of those 2 fights. So I feel like those 2 should be interesting. I'm still interested to see if Kaya Sakura is gonna turn things around and start fighting like he did in Ryzen, where he had a lot of success. So I'm just waiting to see if that's gonna happen in the UFC for him. And I feel like he has potential to be super exciting as well, if he just finds his rhythm in there. So I don't know if it's the cage that's the problem or just the difference of the opponents in the UFC. Not sure, but yeah, I feel like that one. But Sumadarji and Perez have good potential as well. So Tsuruya and Borjas, not a bad matchup. Oh no, Jenkins and Sean Woodson out of the prelims I'm excited for. And then I would probably go with, like I said, either Sumadarji and Perez or Aori Quailing and Asakura for the main. So I mean, I got a couple there. I guess gun to the head, I'd probably go with the Perez Sumadarji fight. I just think it's going to be exciting in the main card. And then for the prelims, Jenkins and Woodson is going to be a good matchup. So those would be my favorites out of those. I did go with Umar to beat Song Yadong. I went with why did I just Yan Xiaonan? I went with Kai Asakura, Sumadarji, and then C. Lu to beat Rodriguez, and Bilal Hassan to beat Nielsen Rojas. Those are my picks. Let's see what the fight wheel has for us in the randomized picks. Here's your first spin. 6 fights in the main card for UFC Shanghai. And we got our first pick, which is, oh damn, right away going against me. And that's not good considering I've been losing to the fight wheel. But Levi Rodriguez to beat C. Lu. So there's your first randomized fight wheel prediction. We'll get that out of there. We'll get that out of there. And we'll go with our next spin. 1 down, 5 to go. Fight wheel predictions, totally random for UFC Shanghai. And it looks like Sumadarji. So that one is the same as my pick. So we got 1 and 1 here, battling for who does better with the picks this week. Next, totally random fight wheel prediction. Denise Gomez to beat Yan Xiaonan. Okay, so the fight wheel's going against me on the women's fight. On the women's fight, I should say. So Gomez. That's not a bad shout. She has a chance to make it a nasty fight and get the better of Yan Xiaonan, especially with Xiaonan having been out for as long as she has been. So yeah, I mean, it does make me kind of second guess my pick after I went through it, but I'll stick with Xiaonan. So halfway through, we got 3 fights left. Let's see what's next for the fight wheel predictions. The main event, going with Umar, just like I did. So we agree on that one. I feel like that's the best bet too, just because of how dominant Umar is. So yeah, that's a good pick there. All right, 2 more fights left. Let's see what the fight wheel has for us with these last 2. Looks like Nielsen Rojas to beat Bilal Hassan. I went with Hassan, so another one that the fight wheel's going against me. So some good matchups here because we'll really have a definitive winner, judging by the picks so far. Last one for the fight wheel predictions for UFC Shanghai main card. 6 fights. Aori Quailing versus Kai Asakura, and the fight wheel goes against me again. Ooh-wee. All right, so the fight wheel has only agreed with 2 of my picks. The main event, Umar to beat Song Yadong. The fight wheel went with Denise Gomez over Yan Xiaonan. I went with Xiaonan. I picked Kai Asakura to beat Aori Quailing, and the fight wheel predicted Quailing. I went with Sumadarji, so did the fight wheel. I went with C. Lu to beat Rodriguez. The fight wheel went with Rodriguez, and I went with Bilal Hassan to beat Rojas, and the fight wheel picked Rojas. So only 2 of the same picks overall. So one of us can go 2 and 4, and the other one can go 4 and 2. Or some shit like that. It could actually go any which way, but only one of us is gonna win because we have so many different picks. So yeah, that makes it interesting, I guess. Goated fight wheel week again. Oh shit, maybe so, man. I mean, the fight wheel did go undefeated last week at 6-0, which is tough. especially when I went 4-2. So we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. But yeah, I do my best for my picks, and I think it's interesting to put my picks against a totally random fight wheel. Do what you want with those picks. Take what you will from them. Just don't blame me if you take them directly and lose with them. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's it for UFC Shanghai, and that's it for the show. Hold on, what did I just do? There we go. So yeah, like I said, just make sure you have your notifications on, and I'll let you know. It should let you know if I go live, if you're going to be up for UFC Shanghai, because it's going to be on at a crazy different hour. It's going to be on at 3 a.m. for me. So we'll see. To Google it and find out in your area what time the fights will start, and be on the lookout for that notification, or check YouTube when the main card starts, because I promise I will not be on for the prelims. If I go on at all, it'll be for the main card only, and that'll be at 3 a.m. for me. So if I decide to do it, be on the lookout for that. If not, come back on Sunday for the recap of UFC Shanghai and a preview of next week's Dana White's Contender Series. We'll keep that going because it's been interesting, and I've definitely been paying more attention this year than any other year in the recent past. So yeah, thanks for everybody that joined in. Thanks for all the interactions. Appreciate all the support. Make sure you guys come back for that recap on Sunday and be on the lookout for those notifications. Appreciate that, Rain. Good luck if you do make any bets, and yeah, come back for the recap show. And yeah, that's it for me. Enjoy the fights. Appreciate you guys. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.